I think we're going to get started now. The third session for today is given to us by Sébastien BORGET, who's the COO and co-founder of Pixel. They're the creators of a game called Sandbox, which is a really unique game where you use the laws of physics to create or destroy any world or your own world. And it's a really, really deep content game. It's fascinating. An interesting point is when they first submitted it to Apple, Apple weren't big fans of the game, and then
not really.
Yeah, and then afterwards, essentially, Apple turned out loving the game, and it ended up being on the best of the App Store list for 2012, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
So it's a pretty good turnaround. So I think there's some good lessons for us to all learn in there. Pixar has 25 members. They're based in San Francisco and in Buenos Aires. And today, Sebastian's going to talk to us about some user acquisition tips when you're an indie developer. So everyone, let's give it up for Sebastian.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and I'll be trying to share a few tips and hacks on how to make user acquisition when you're an indie developer, meaning you don't have such big money budget to spend. So let's get started. So I will go quickly on this one because, well, almost everything has been said already. So Pixel, it's a mobile game studio created in April 2011. We're 25 people between San Francisco and Buenos Aires. And we have released 4 games so far, which now accumulate over 10 million players. So you might have played one of those, Doodle Grub, Greedy Grub, or the Sandbox. The Sandbox is now our most popular title, and that's the one I will be mentioning the most in this presentation because I applied all the techniques to this game and it worked quite good for us so far. So as you can see, it's a game in 2D in pixel art where you can create and craft virtual worlds by combining a lot of different elements. There's over 150 different elements. And with all these elements, you can either solve levels in campaigns or create a different kind of pixel artwork, chiptune music, contraption, electronic circuits, and much more. So all the screenshots you see below are user-generated players' creations, so user-generated content. We have now over 500,000 creations from the players all around the world. The game has reached almost, we are close to 10 million downloads, 8.5, and it's growing every day. We have over 250K DAUs, and it's now 375,000 fans of Facebook when I checked this morning. The game is available across all platforms, but one outstanding point is it's been selected twice in 2012 and 2013 as one of the best games on the App Store. So not just once, twice. That's a great love from Apple. All this growth didn't come at once. When we launched the game in the first months after launching it, we were around 1 million downloads. And I've put on this graph how we kept the growth going on. Mostly it came by updating the game very regularly with almost every month an update. So I believe we have 10 to 15 updates per year on the game. When we launched on Android, it also helped double the user base from 2 million to 4 million players. And as we introduce more and more casual elements that fit the true audience of the game, which I will talk after a little bit, we also have been growing very fast. I've reported on the graph also the number of Facebook fans because I believe it's very much tied to how we manage to acquire our user in an organic way. So what can I share with you, or try to share with you precisely? I want to mention a few facts that even though Pixel is now a 25 people company, all the marketing is done by myself, and I'm not even doing that full time, and one community manager. So you don't need a lot of resources for that. Another important fact is our average organic to paid user ratio is 95%, which means that we only paid to acquire 5% of our users. All the rest came from organic and viral downloads. So we don't pay for most of our users. And our marketing budget monthly is, we limit it at $20,000 maximum, but usually it's more around $5,000 to $10,000 on regular months. Also, there's a large list of user acquisition strategies, and I have only 20 minutes in this lecture, so I will only talk about the one I put in bold. So I won't be mentioning PR, the development of your core viral features, word of mouth, search engine optimization, or how to get featurings from Apple or Google, but I would be more focusing on community management, user-generated contents, a few methods of paid targeted acquisition, and cross-promotion. First of all, I wanted to list a toolbox of all the SDKs you need as a game developer to do successful user acquisition. So you need to have analytics, that's the bare minimum. I recommend to use Flurry, AppSalar, or you can look for other solutions like Contingent and all, but I don't think they are free. I might be wrong to check. I recommend to integrate the Facebook SDK for social media. You need also a specific SDK for tracking your user acquisition campaigns. Where do your downloads come, from which source, and how do they perform? So for that, I recommend to use mobile app tracking. But I know there's also Party Track, which a lot of developers are now using, so you might try it. For cross-promotion, I would recommend Chartboost. I believe they are like the big reference. For virality, you can look at GoCarrot, which helps you post social stories on your wall of your Facebook friends, and use Camcord or EveryPlay for video recording in-game. Yeah, I know both are at this convention, so if you need introduction to them, just ask me. And well, if you want to go further, you can start looking into in-app marketing features or A/B testing features with folks from Playnomics, Swerve, or Playhaven, which I believe also are here. So when you run a user acquisition campaign, the first thing you have to think about is what do you want to achieve and what are your criteria of success or failure. And this depends a lot on what is your goal, what are you doing right now? Are you launching the game in a beta to a small community? Is it your main game launch, or are you just updating the app? Do you want to increase revenue, build a community in a new country, a new geography you haven't reached before? Just try to get in the top rankings, or many other possibilities. So for that, I recommend to have very simple metrics in your head. You need to define a timeline and a budget. Let's say I want to know my results in a week, and I don't want to spend more than $2,000 in this. You need to know at least approximatively what is your ARPU or LTV and how much you want to spend per install maximum. If you're looking for just 100 users or 100,000 users, and as I mentioned before, what is your criteria of success or failure on this campaign? Right, so let's get now at the heart of the topic. Let's get started. The very first recommendation I would give you is to leverage the power of social media and community management. So try to create a Facebook page and post regularly some contents on site. I will show you after what kind of content you can easily post and that usually your fan base like. Opening a Twitter account for your game is also quite easy to do. One question I had yesterday was about the Facebook page. Should I do just one page for my company and all my games, or one page by game? I would recommend to do one by game because you might not have the same target audience between each game. from your company. It's usually good also to have your own forum. That helps sometimes to gather a community. This is like in the old day when we were making PC games or other. And one thing that worked quite well also for us is to have a YouTube channel for your game, where we posted just one video per week on the game. So we captured video using a very simple HDMI video capture device, which I believe cost like 150 euros, $200. And we took some gameplay footage and the best of the gallery every week. And now we have over 150 videos and 1.5 million views in total. So this drives a lot of organic traffic, and this will keep growing over time. Okay, so how do you build a Facebook page? That's pretty easy. You just go to Facebook account, facebook.com, and it's like opening your personal Facebook account. I believe everyone in the audience here have one. You just need to have a large banner cover and make just one post. What kind of content do you want to publish on your Facebook page? I would recommend to try to be fun and original. If you're an indie, it shouldn't be hard. You don't have to force yourself to be like this. It should be part of your DNA. So just be yourself. That should work. And if you don't have a lot of time to dedicate to this, just post this kind of content. Some content that reward the players who are fans of your page, so they are happy to follow you and you show them you care about them. And try to post like features of your game, describing the new feature, announcing the next features, and you can engage discussion with your fans to see what they think about them. So you can ask them to like the post or share it, which will also help spread it to their friends, because their friends on Facebook will see the post and you might get a few more downloads from that way. And well, then after, if you want to go more deeper in Facebook and community management, here are a few tips provided by the Facebook team themselves, and I believe they are quite accurate, they work well. And it should be quite interesting. At the beginning, it might be slow to start. It took us over a year to get our first 100,000 fans, but once we got there, it accelerates very fast, and you get fans just every day, few thousand fans by doing almost nothing, you know, so it's exciting. Before I mentioned user-generated content, so you don't need to have a game where people create stuff with your game to actually have user-generated content. If you just have the feature where they take a screenshot of your game and share them on social networks, or even better now with videos through the Every Player or Camcord SDK, your players will become your prescriptors, your evangelists, because they will post content they do in the game. They are quite proud of playing it, like getting a certain score. And for example, if just Flappy Bird had a video recording feature, imagine how many videos of that we would see on YouTube. That would be just madness. And every video posted, even if it's just viewed once, that's potentially one new user you can drive to your game. Now let's talk about paid user acquisition. So let's say you have a specific budget between $5 to a few thousand, and you want to spend them on user acquisition. My recommendation would be to do it on Facebook, because it allows you to target very precisely which user you would like to acquire, in which country, which gender, which age, and what are their interests. So you can target people who like the some similar games to yours. So if you have a 3D runner game, you would target people who like the Temple Run page and Subway Surfer page. There's already millions of fans on this page, so that's potentially millions of users to drive to your app. And so how to create a Facebook ad? It's fairly easy. It's basically just a title, a short description, and a creative. What matters the most is the creative image. So I would recommend to have a few ones and iterate over those. You can also try with Twitter. I know they recently introduced the same feature of promoted tweets, which allows you to target specific audience. For us, even we have a much bigger fan base on Facebook than Twitter, but I know some people that's just the contrary. So test both, you know, it might work. And how much did you spend in total on that? Maybe just a few bucks, because you can decide to just have a budget of $25, $50. If it doesn't work or you see the CPI is too high, you just stop and you didn't lose all your money in that test, or you can keep it to try some other things. So that's what I really like about these networks. You don't need to, like, you put 5,000 and whatever happens, this is lost. And if it works, you will be very happy to pour more money into that. And well, don't give up if it doesn't work on the very first try also, because there's a lot of possibilities of why it doesn't work. The CPI can vary during the day of the week. It's usually more expensive on weekends than on Wednesday or Monday to Wednesday. You might have tried to advertise during Xmas period, which is really not the best time of the year. Maybe you should try more in January or February. Right now it's quite calm, except on next Friday, which will be Valentine's Day. So I believe it will be a big peak again in marketing budget spending from the big players. Maybe it was just your text or your creative banner which was not attractive, too long, not simple to catch. So try a few iterations. That won't cost you more, and you can find a big difference in results. And as I mentioned, it's going to be a long journey before you find the perfect campaign, because if that was just that one, it would be the dream, like if you found that one. Now, what other techniques you can use for user acquisition? I would recommend for indie developers to do a lot of cross-promotion. You can use Chartboost for that, and it's basically promoting your game in another developer game, so it's just games to games, and giving back to them when they are going to launch a new title, promoting it theirs in yours. How do you find games to cross-promote with? The Chartboost dashboard provides a large selection of game by categories or featured, and I would simply recommend to do friends here at conference, or when you hang out at parties, help each other. That's the best way to work. And even though cross-promotion with other developers is free, I would really recommend to keep an eye on your statistic and how it converts, because you can give a lot of impression to a friend developer, but if it doesn't drive many installs, that's just a waste, and it's also not so good for your own users. And that's all. I think I'm in time. I have enough time for some questions.
Yeah, we've got a bit of time for questions. Do we have any questions from the floor? All right, I might start then.
Don't be shy, huh?
I've got one for you, so while they think about it. Oh, we've got one?
Yeah.
Great.
Isn't Facebook advertising still quite expensive for an indie developer?
From our testing, the Facebook advertising is one of the cheapest out there. Like with the sandbox, we are able to get down the CPI down to 25 cents of US dollar in US for iOS. When to most advertisers, when you ask them how much it costs for an install, they will tell you $2. So I believe after some optimization and iteration, we've found a good deal, and that's not one of the most expensive networks out there. Unless you're in a very, very competitive niche, or there's not enough fan base. Usually Facebook recommends to target groups of 1 million people minimum. If you're targeting a group of 10 people, then it will try to advertise continuously to these 10 people, and that won't be efficient.
Any other questions? Yep.
Hello, Sébastien. Congratulations for the game. My question
Thank
is, you said you spend $20,000 per month maximum of advertising.
Yeah.
Why don't you spend more? Because we see that big success like Candy Crush or Supercell games, they are spending a lot of money despite their games are very successful. So why don't you spend more money to grow faster?
That's a good question. It's one of the main reasons is because I believe we're still indie studio, so we don't have the cash flow of a large company like the one you mentioned, and we didn't find the perfect campaign that we spend $1,000, we get $1,500, and that's the only one forever that we're going to run. If one thing maybe also I didn't mention is that when some campaigns are very efficient when you spend small budgets, say $100 to $500 a day. As soon as you increase the budget to $5,000 a day, Facebook becomes lazy in optimization because he thinks, okay, he's got budget, so I'm not going to find the most cheapest installs for him. And so you kind of, the scalability of this operation is not so easy. I mean, if that would be, then the big players would already been just pouring money, infinite money into that. Does that answer your question? Yeah, okay, good.
Any other questions? Well, let's see a few hands. We'll just go down here.
Yes, bonjour. So you are French, like me.
Yes.
And you are based
How
in...
many French in the audience? Great. How many indie developers in the audience? Better.
And you are based in the States. How do you see this choice, and especially concerning user acquisition? Do you think it's easier from American company or?
No, it's not really a matter of how difficult it is to acquire users in different countries. It's more a matter of which are the countries where your best players are. And for the sandbox, we have over 70% of our audience in US. And we noticed the US players are among the best, the one which we keep the longest in terms of retention, and the one which tend to spend the more money in the game. So it's not a matter of being patriotic or not. It's more when I acquire user in France, in Spain, in some countries, I never get profitability. So I decided to stop and just focus in the countries where I do. That doesn't mean that one day I won't want to make the game become a big, the first in this category in that particular country, and in which case the objective, the goal of my user acquisition won't be to be a ROI positive, but would be just to establish the game as a leader in this market, and I won't be not so much looking at cost and RPA, revenue per install.
I think we've got time for 2 more questions, so we'll go to that side of the room, I think.
Sorry, you slightly touched upon it there. I was just wondering if there are, and I'm sorry if I missed it, I was a little bit late, but do you find any particular kind of countries or regions are super effective in terms of user acquisition? How widely have you explored other regions, like localizing? For example, like, have you looked into Asia, Southeast Asia,
Yeah.
or are you focused mostly on
Okay.
Europe and the US?
I get your question. So the game is localized in 5 languages now. It was 3, which were English, French, and Spanish. We added Brazilian, Portuguese, German. From the statistic we look, some countries are very interesting to target. So mostly the top tier 1 English-speaking countries: US, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand. But we found out, for example, that Brazil, it's a huge growing market where the the revenue per user were sometimes as high or better than US. You might find also Russia, for example, is a very big market. Japan, Korea as well. But sometimes it's much more difficult to target the countries like Russia, Korea, or Japan because you absolutely need localization and sometimes much more. That's why it's better to go through publisher when you don't succeed yourself. I mean, we tried, we didn't succeed in Russia, so we are now quite looking for publisher in that country, for example.
Great. Final question. I think it was at the front before, or is she still got it? Yep. Great.
Hi, Sebastian.
Hello.
Thank you for the tips, are very helpful. I was wondering if you have some tips about where do you release the game? Is especially better at weekends or during the week? Or
Which day we release the game?
yes. Do you have some tips about this?
Yes. So, best example, today yesterday evening I just released a new update, 1.7 of the game. I decided to do it on a Tuesday evening. Why? Because I noticed that most gaming websites and blogs were talking about the new games and updates of popular games on a Wednesday. So I would inform them 1 or 2 weeks before of the upcoming release, and I would release at least 1 day before to give them a chance to try it. Also, why I release on Tuesday or Wednesday at latest, so I can test the update and make sure there's no major crash, bug, or something we might have missed during QA before the Thursday, which is the day where the App Store is changing all the featuring. So that gives us enough time to take action in case there's a problem.
Great. Thank you very much, Sebastian. It was very insightful. I think there were a few more questions as well. So can we have a round of applause for Sebastian?